Have you ever wondered if you were never truly born and will never really die? What if the you that you've always identified with this body, these thoughts, these memories is merely a temporary appearance in something far more vast and unchanging? Something that was here before your first breath and will remain long after your last? Pause for a moment. Look within. Who is it that's aware of these words right now? Before you formed any thoughts about this question, awareness was already present, wasn't it? This awareness, this knowing presence, has it ever not been here? Close your eyes for a moment, if it's safe to do so. Notice the thoughts passing by, like clouds in the sky. Now ask yourself, who is watching these thoughts? Is the watcher itself a thought? Or is it something else entirely? When you were a child, you were aware. As a teenager, you were aware. As an adult, you are aware. The content of your experience has changed dramatically. Your body, your thoughts, your preferences, your beliefs, yet this awareness has remained constant. Unchanging. It was never born, and it will never die. We've been taught to identify with everything that changes our names, our roles, our achievements, our problems, while overlooking the one thing that never changes, the aware presence that we are. Throughout history, across diverse spiritual and philosophical traditions, this recognition has emerged again and again. The Buddha spoke of the unborn nature of reality. In Zen, Master Bankei referred to the unborn Buddha mind. The Upanishads describe Brahman as that which was never born and never dies. These aren't merely poetic expressions or religious beliefs, but pointers to direct experience, your direct experience, available right now. Even modern neuroscience has begun questioning our conventional understanding of consciousness. The hard problem of consciousness show physical processes in the brain give rise to subjective experience remains unsolved. What if we've been approaching the question backward? What if consciousness isn't produced by the brain but is more fundamental? What if the brain is more like a receiver of consciousness rather than its creator? Consider what happens when you wake up each morning. Where does awareness come from? Does it gradually assemble itself from brain cells and neural activity? Or is it instantaneously present the continuous background against which all experiences appear? Many scientists now entertain the possibility that consciousness may be a fundamental property of the universe, not an emergent property of complex brains. Imagine a vast, boundless ocean. Now imagine a wave rising on this ocean, taking shape, moving, eventually subsiding back into the water. Was the wave ever separate from the ocean? Did it ever become something other than water? This is the relationship between your temporary, personal consciousness and the infinite awareness that is your true nature. The person appears and disappears like a wave, but awareness, like the ocean, remains. But don't take my word for it. Don't adopt these ideas as beliefs. Instead, look directly at your own experience. Everything you've ever known has appeared within awareness. Every thought, emotion, sensation, perceptional, arise within this field of knowing that you are. Has this knowing itself ever changed, or only its contents? What is this I that you refer to when you say, I am happy, or I am sad? Is it your body? But cells in your body are constantly dying and being replaced. The body you had as a child is not the same body you have now. Is the I your thoughts? But thoughts come and go. They appear and disappear in consciousness. Look closely at this sense of being a separate self. Can you actually find it? Or is it merely an assumption, a habit of thinking that goes unquestioned. The mind creates a story of me, a character with a past and future, with desires and fears, with problems to solve and goals to achieve. But this character exists only in thought. It has no independent reality. It's like a character in a dream, seeming real only until you wake up. What we truly are is not this changing, limited self, but the awareness in which all experience appears. This awareness was never born. Birth happened to the body, not to awareness. Death will happen to the body, not to awareness. Think about it. Can awareness itself be aware of its own beginning? For awareness to notice its own birth, it would already need to be present. Therefore, awareness cannot logically have a beginning. What has no beginning cannot have an end. The illusion of separation, the belief that you are a separate entity moving through the world, is perhaps the most fundamental misperception of human existence. It's what the Buddhists call avidya, or ignorance. It's what the Hindu sages referred to as maya, or illusion. It's what Jesus might have been pointing to when he prayed that they may be one, as we are one. This sense of separation manifests in countless ways. We feel separate from other people, leading to conflict, loneliness, and judgment. We feel separate from nature, resulting in exploitation and environmental degradation. We feel separate from our own bodies, creating tension, stress, and disease. We feel separate from the divine, producing spiritual seeking, doubt, and existential angst. But what if this separation is entirely imaginary? What if there is only one consciousness appearing as many? What if, as the Upanishads declare, Tat Tvam Asi, you are that? Consider your dream experiences. In a dream, you might perceive many different characters, yet all are projections within your own mind. Upon waking, you realize there was never any true separation between you and the dream character Saul, were expressions of the same consciousness. What if waking life operates on the same principle at a deeper level of reality? This dream analogy isn't mere philosophy. In lucid dreaming, when you become aware that you're dreaming while still in the dream, you experience directly how an apparently external world can be entirely within consciousness. You recognize that the dream characters who seemed so separate and independent were actually manifestations of your own mind. Could our waking experience be similar, but at a deeper level? Could what we call others and the world be appearances within a single unified consciousness that we all share? Modern physics supports this view. At the quantum level, particles that appear separate can be entangled, affecting each other instantaneously across vast distances. The observer and the observed cannot be separated. As physicist John Wheeler noted, no phenomenon is a phenomenon until it is an observed phenomenon. The act of observation participates in creating what appears. The famous double-slit experiment demonstrates that light behaves as either a wave or a particle, depending on whether it's being observed. This suggests that consciousness itself is somehow involved in determining the basic properties of physical reality. As physicist Max Planck, the founder of quantum theory, stated, "I regard consciousness as fundamental. I regard matter as derivative from consciousness. This doesn't mean that the material world is not real or merely a figment of imagination. Rather, it suggests that what we call matter and what we call consciousness may not be two separate things but different aspects of the same underlying reality, like how water can appear as ice, liquid, or vapor, yet remains H2O throughout. But again, don't accept these ideas conceptually. Test them against your own direct experience. Right now, can you find any boundary where you end and the world begins? Is there any real division between the awareness of these words and the words themselves? Between the awareness of sounds and the sounds? Between the knower and the known? This doesn't mean you are immortal in the conventional sense. The person you think you are will certainly die. But what you truly are, this boundless, cognizing emptiness, was never born and cannot die. Notice that all experiences happen in time, but awareness itself is timeless. Past memories and future anticipations appear in the present moment of awareness. Similarly, all experiences happen in space, but awareness itself is spaceless. It has no size, shape, or location. When you say, "I was aware 20 years ago," and "I am aware now," is it really two different awarenesses? Or is it the same unchanging awareness, with only the content of experience changing? This timeless, spaceless awareness is what the ancient traditions pointed to as our true nature, not as some mystical state to achieve, but as the most ordinary and ever-present reality of our experience. Here's the great paradox. We spend our lives seeking what we've never lost. We look everywhere for peace, happiness, and fulfillment, not realizing that what we're seeking is what's doing the seeking. It's like a fish swimming desperately in search of water, or a wave searching for the ocean. The very awareness that's reading these words right now is what you've been looking for all along. Why don't we recognize this? Because we're looking from it, as it. The eye cannot see itself directly. The subject cannot make itself into an object. Yet just as the eye can see its reflection in a mirror, awareness can recognize itself through the direct pointing of non-dual understanding. The Buddha described this as Tathagata, Garbha, or Buddha, natureth the inherent awakened nature present in all beings. This Buddha nature transcends the duality of self and not self, and the duality of form and emptiness. It's not something to become, but something to recognize as already present. In the Zen tradition, this is called the face you had before you were born. It points to that which precedes all identity, all form, all experience, yet makes all experience possible. Master Huangbo described it as a boundless void which cannot be fathomed or measured. Not empty in the sense of being barren or lacking, but empty of all limitation and division. Consider this analogy. Imagine that your entire life, all your experiences, thoughts, and perceptions is like a movie projected onto a screen. The images on the screen are constantly changing, sometimes pleasant, sometimes painful, always in motion. But what about the screen itself? It remains unchanged throughout the movie. It doesn't get wet when rain appears, doesn't burn when fire appears, doesn't move when movement appears. Yet without the screen, no image could appear at all. The screen is like awareness, the ever-present background that makes all experience possible, yet remains untouched by the content of experience. Now, imagine watching a movie and becoming so absorbed in the story that you completely forget about the screen. All your attention is on the characters, the plot, the emotions. This is similar to our usual state, completely identified with the content of experience, overlooking the awareness in which all content appears. Spiritual awakening is like suddenly remembering the screen, recognizing the unchanging awareness that has been present all along. The Advaita Vedanta tradition of Hinduism refers to this as Sat Chit Ananda, being consciousness, bliss. It's the unchanging reality behind all appearances, the substrate of all existence. It's not an object of knowledge, but is itself the very principle of knowing. It's not something you can possess, but rather what you fundamentally are. Christian mystics like Meister Eckhart pointed to the same reality when he spoke of the Godhead beyond God, that which transcends even our conceptions of divinity. He wrote, "The eye with which I see God is the same eye with which God sees me." When you recognize this spaceless witness as your true nature, the fear of death naturally dissolves. How can that which was never born ever die? How can that which is not contained in space and time be affected by events in space and time? The body will certainly change and eventually cease functioning, but the awareness in which the body appears remains untouched. This isn't philosophical speculation or religious faith. It's direct recognition of what's already true. It's seeing through the dream of being a separate self and waking up to your true nature as boundless awareness. Let me offer a few simple pointer-snot techniques to achieve something, but invitations to recognize what's already here. For just 1 minute, drop all effort to become something or get somewhere. Simply rest as the awareness that you already are. Don't try to change your experience or reach a special state. Just notice what's already here, the sounds, sensations, thoughts, and the awareness in which they all appear. Notice that this awareness is effortlessly present. You don't need to create it or maintain it. It's the natural state that's here before any doing begins. When a thought arises, immediately turn attention back to the source from which the thought emerged. Don't follow the thought. Instead, trace it back to its origin. From where does this thought appear? Who or what is aware of this thought? This isn't about finding an answer with your mind. It's about directly experiencing the source of all thoughts, the empty, cognizing space of awareness itself. Throughout the day, whenever you use or think the word I, pause and ask, what exactly is this I referring to? Don't accept conceptual answers. Look directly at the feeling of being a separate self. Is this I an object that can be found? Or is it merely a thought arising in awareness? Notice how this investigation naturally dissolves the solid sense of being a separate entity. When interacting with others, look beyond their physical appearance and personality. Recognize that the same boundless awareness that you are is what they are too. There is no your awareness and their awareness. There is just awareness appearing as different bodies and minds. This recognition naturally dissolves separation and awakens compassion, not as something you do, but as the natural expression of recognizing our shared true nature. These pointers aren't spiritual techniques designed to achieve some future state of enlightenment. They're invitations to recognize what's already true right now. The recognition may be temporary at first, but with continued attention, it becomes more stable and clear. Consider this exercise. Right now, become aware of the sensation of your breath. Feel the air moving in and out of your body. Now, without changing anything about your breathing, notice what's aware of this sensation. This awareness, is it limited to your body? Does it have a shape or size? Is it affected in any way by what it's aware of? This simple shift from being absorbed in content to recognizing the awareness in which content appears, the essence of spiritual awakening. Or try this. Listen to the sounds in your environment. Rather than labeling or analyzing the sounds, simply notice the aware space in which they appear. Can you find any separation between the hearing and the awareness of hearing? Is the awareness located in here while the sounds are out there? Or is there just this seamless field of experiencing with no boundaries between subject and object? The great Zen master Bankei taught the practice of resting in the unborn Buddha mind, the natural state of awareness that's present before thinking begins. He instructed his students not to try to create this state through meditation, but to recognize it as already present. He said, rather than trying to become Buddha, remain what you've always been, the unborn Buddha mind. Similarly, the Tibetan Buddhist tradition offers pointing out instructions, where the teacher directly indicates the nature of mind to the student. These aren't teachings to be understood intellectually, but direct pointers to immediate experience. As one Tibetan master put it, don't look for your mind, look from your mind. Don't seek awareness, be awareness. Advaita teacher Ramana Maharshi's central teaching was self-inquiry, asking, who am I? Not to arrive at a conceptual answer, but to trace consciousness back to its source. He said, the question, who am I, is not meant to get an answer. The question, who am I, is meant to dissolve the questioner. Christian contemplatives speak of centering prayer, or the prayer of quiet practices of resting in the divine presence beyond thoughts, images, or words. As Thomas Merton wrote, at the center of our being is a point of nothingness which is untouched by sin and illusion, a point of pure truth. This little point is the pure glory of God in us. Try this simple exercise. For the next minute, don't try to stop your thoughts or change your experience in any way. Simply notice that whatever appears, thoughts, sensations, emotions, perceptions, appears to awareness. Notice that this awareness isn't located anywhere specific. It isn't limited to the head or even to the body. It has no boundaries, no edges. It's simply present, knowing, without effort. This boundless awareness that you are posit ever been absent, even in deep sleep, was awareness not there, simply without objects? Even in your most troubled moments, wasn't awareness the unchanging space in which those troubles appeared? Freedom is not something to attain in the future. It's the recognition of what's already free, right now. Not the person will never be free, because the person is just a concept, a thought. What you truly are has never been bound, so it needs no liberation. Look at your hand. Open and close it. Now ask, what is aware of this movement? Can that awareness be found as an object? Does it have boundaries, a beginning, or an end? Is it born when the body is born, or is it the silent witnessing presence in which birth itself appears? These aren't mere philosophical questions. They point to the most intimate reality of your being, more intimate than your closest thoughts, closer than your next breath. Consider this. Everything you can perceive or conceive is not what you are, because you are the perceiving, the conceiving itself. The content of consciousness comes and goes, but consciousness itself remains. You are not what changes. You are the unchanging in which all change appears. The freedom I'm pointing to isn't freedom from particular circumstances or conditions. It's a more fundamental freedom, the recognition that what you truly are is already free from all circumstances and conditions. This doesn't mean circumstances don't matter in relative life. It means you're no longer identified exclusively with the part of you that's affected by circumstances. Think about a time when you were caught in intense emotion, perhaps anger, fear, or grief. Even in that state, wasn't there a part of you that was witnessing the emotion? Something that knew you were angry, or afraid, or sad? That witnessing presence, that knowing is what you truly are. It's never touched by the emotions that pass through it, just as the sky is never stained by the clouds. This recognition doesn't mean you become emotionless or detached from life. On the contrary, when you're no longer identified exclusively with emotions, you can experience them more fully, more honestly, without resistance. You can allow joy to be joy, grief to be grief, without needing to control or prolong or avoid any state. There's a profound freedom in this, not freedom from emotion, but freedom within emotion. The ancient Buddhist text Dhammapada begins, "All that we are is the result of what we have thought. The mind is everything. What we think, we become." But what about that which is aware of thoughts? What about that which was here before thinking began? Isn't that what we truly are? In the Sufi tradition, there is a beautiful saying, "You think you are a small entity, but within you is enfolded the entire universe." This points to the paradoxical nature of our being apparently finite as persons, yet infinite as awareness. The Christian mystic Meister Eckhart expressed it this way, "The eye through which I see God is the same eye through which God sees me. My eye and God's eye are one eye. One seeing, one knowing, one love." This recognition of your true nature as boundless awareness doesn't make the personal self disappear. The person with their unique personality, talents, challenges, and journey continues, but it's no longer mistaken for what you fundamentally are. It's recognized as an appearance within what you area character in the movie, not the screen on which the movie plays. This shift in identity from exclusive identification with the person to recognition of yourself as the awareness in which the person appears, the essence of spiritual awakening. It's not about becoming a better person, though that may happen naturally. It's about recognizing that you are not exclusively a person to begin with. The freedom that comes with this recognition isn't freedom to do whatever you want. It's freedom from the belief that what you do determines what you are. It's freedom from the endless seeking for completion in the future. It's freedom from the fear that you might not be enough. It's freedom from the fear of death, because what you truly are was never born and cannot die. When the 16th century Zen master Bosue was asked, "What happens after death?" he replied, "Why ask about after death? Why not ask about before birth? What were you before your parents conceived you? Understand that, and you'll understand what happens after death." I don't ask you to believe anything I've said. In fact, I encourage you to doubt every word. But don't just doubt with your thinking mind doubt, with your direct experience. Look for yourself. Test these pointers against your own immediate experience of being. Who is reading these words right now? Before you answer with a name or a concept, look directly at the experience of being aware. This awareness, is it personal? Does it belong to anyone? Or is it the impersonal field in which all personal experiences arise? The great freedom is discovering that what you've been seeking, peace, fulfillment, love, is not something to attain, but the very nature of what you already are. The seeker is the sought. The perceiver is what's being pointed to. When this is recognized not intellectually, but in direct experience, the search ends. Not because you found something, but because you've recognized the one who was never lost. I don't claim to know the absolute truth. These are pointers, not dogma. They're invitations to look for yourself, not statements to believe. The only truth worth anything is the truth you verify in your own direct experience. This isn't a new spiritual technique or the latest philosophical trend. It's a recognition that has been pointed to throughout human history, across cultures and traditions. The words change, but what they point to remains the same, the unchanging awareness that you already are. There's nothing to join, nothing to buy, nothing to achieve. What could you possibly gain that isn't already here in the fullness of your own being? If these words don't resonate with you now, set them aside. Truth doesn't need your belief or understanding. It remains what it is, with or without conceptual recognition. The ocean doesn't need the wave's permission to be the ocean. For the next 24 hours, whenever you remember, pause and notice, what is aware of this moment? What is it that never comes and goes, even as experiences continuously change? If you glimpse even for a moment what these pointers are indicating, share your experience in the comments. Not to get validation or approval, but because articulating your direct recognition can help others recognize the same in themselves. We're not separate beings on individual journeys. We're the same awareness, remembering itself through countless forms. This recognition isn't reserved for special people or dependent on special circumstances. It's available to everyone, because it is everyone, the very awareness reading these words right now. So look, not outward, but inwarder, more precisely, prior to the very distinction between inner and outer. Look at the looking itself. What is it that's aware of these words, these thoughts, these sensations? What is it that's been aware throughout your entire life? Unchanged amidst all changes? That's what you are. That's what you've always been. This eternal presence, this now that never comes or goes, not just a moment in time. It's that which knows all moments. It doesn't exist in time. Rather, time appears within it. As the great Sufi mystic Rumi wrote, "I am not in time. Time is in me." When recognized directly, this timeless presence reveals itself as the foundation of all experience. It's what some traditions call the natural state. Natural because it's not created or maintained by effort. It's what's here before thinking begins, before doing begins, before seeking begins. Consider a moment of profound absorption, perhaps, while watching a sunset, listening to music, or being in nature. In those moments, the usual sense of being a separate self temporarily dissolves. There's just the experience happening, without a me at the center claiming it. These moments give us a glimpse of our natural state awareness without separation, being without boundaries. Yet this state is not dependent on special circumstances or peak experiences. It's available right now, in the midst of ordinary life, when we simply turn attention to the awareness that's already here. The Buddhist teacher Tilopa advised, "Don't try to stop the activities of your mind, but recognize the nature of whatever arises." This recognition isn't about controlling experience, but seeing through to its essence. It's not about making thoughts stop, but recognizing the awareness in which thoughts appear. In the Christian contemplative tradition, this is described as resting in God, not a God separate from yourself, but the divine ground of being that you fundamentally are. As St. Augustine wrote, God is more intimate to me than I am to myself. The Advaita Vedanta sage Nisargadatta Maharaj put it simply, the world is not outside you. It is all happening within. To know it is all happening within you, and that you are neither the cause nor the spectator, that is understanding. This eternal presence that you are doesn't come and go with states of consciousness. It's present in waking, dreaming, and deep sleep, though in deep sleep there's awareness without objects. It's present in all emotional states from ecstasy to despair, though not identified with any of them. It's present in every phase of life birth, growth, decline, death, though not limited by any of them. When you recognize this eternal presence as your true nature, life continues as before, but with a profound difference. You no longer derive your sense of identity exclusively from the changing content of experience. You're no longer caught in the desperate search for security, fulfillment, or completion. You already are what you've been seeking. This doesn't mean the end of human emotions, relationships, or engagement with life. In fact, freed from the burden of deriving identity from them, you can enter more fully into the dance of life. Love becomes more genuine when it's not burdened with need and fear. Creativity flows more freely when it's not constrained by self-concern. Action becomes more effective when it's not clouded by personal agendas. Imagine being able to fully feel every emotion, joy, grief, anger, love without being defined by any of them. Imagine being able to care deeply about others without needing them to fulfill you. Imagine being able to give your best to every endeavor without your worth depending on the outcome. This is the freedom of living as awarenessfully engaged with life, yet not limited by its changing forms. The ultimate invitation is simple. Recognize what you've always been, not as a concept to believe, but as the immediate reality of your own being. Not as something special or extraordinary, but as the most ordinary thing there is. So ordinary, it's overlooked in plain sight. You are that boundless awareness in which all experiences arise, exist, and dissolve. You are that which knows all states, but is itself no state. You are that which witnesses all changes, but itself never changes. Beyond birth and death, beyond time and space, beyond all concepts and categories, you are the knowing presence in which this very moment appears. And in this recognition lies the freedom and peace that all beings seek.